All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Zach Moonshine with Metal Devastation Radio, and right now on the phone with me I have Mike Dean from Corrosion of Conformity. Dude, what's going on, man?
I don't know. Just come and talk to you, man.
So tell everybody out there listening what's going on right now in the world of Corrosion of Conformity.
Well, we just released a new album called 9, like the Roman numeral 9, looks like IX.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of sinking in. What the hell just happened? I think it sounds pretty good. We like it, and we're trying to get our thing together to get on a plane to New Zealand and Australia, play some shows way down in the Southern Hemisphere, and then we're fixing to come back to North America and start a little tour out west with Brant Bjork and Blast, who are like an amazing band from way back in the day in California, hardcore band that now features Mr. Nick Oliveri on bass guitar and drummer by the name of Joey Castillo. He used to play in Queens of the Stone Age and he used to play with Danzig, so it's like kind of a tall order to go on stage after them. So we're just trying to rehearse a little bit. It's not a competition, but you don't want to look foolish.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. The new record fucking sounds, I mean, it's slamming too, man. I gotta say.
Thanks. I enjoyed it, man. It just kind of came together a little chaotically, and you get a little, you can lose a little perspective putting something together like that. So we just kind of flew blind a little at the end there, and hope things were falling in pieces, and now we got the perspective, and yeah, we're stoked on it.
What was it like recording this album, like compared to the others? Was it anything different, or?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, I think there's always an element of a consistency when you got kind of the quorum, so to speak, of like me and Reed Mullen and Woody Weatherman. We've kind of done this together a time or two before, so it's just a matter of kind of choosing a direction and sorting out what compositions you're going to work on. I mean, for us, the main thing was we did this little self-titled record out in California that came out in 2012, and it was a good time, and we're proud of it. But it didn't actually didn't sound so much like us exactly, The amplifiers that we used were just kind of what we found, lying around the warehouse behind the studio, and decided to just kind of go a slightly crazy direction with it. And so we came away from that thinking, well, the next stuff we record is going to have to really relate directly to like the live COC experience. I mean, we need to start with a documentarian point of view. Like, what does it sound like to stand in front of Woody Weatherman's guitar rig, and
yeah.
Where do you put the mics to pick up the ambience of Reed's drum set that he's had since before he could legally drive, and get it to be like a drum kit and not individual drums, and to interact with the room, and just, paint a picture where you put the band in a space. So we had like a real modest kind of idea, sonically speaking, of what we were going to accomplish. It was that part of it was pretty easy. So,
Definitely. One thing I totally notice is when I put on my headphones and I fucking blast it, man, it really sounds. It sounds live, like really live. I mean, you guys have always had the live type of vibe on your records, but on this one, you literally feel like you're sitting in the room, like what you were saying, just sitting right in front of the amps and everything, just fucking absorbing it. That's really cool.
The secret of giving your ears those cues is to move the microphones back a little bit, so it's bouncing off the walls and the floor a little bit, and you sort of use the room to your advantage to paint that picture. Because sometimes when you're working on a record and it doesn't have those components, you start to dig yourself a hole, putting a lot of artificial ambience in there, and it might kind of sound good from one perspective, but it just doesn't always. There's a real trick to painting a picture like that. So we decided to just approach it from kind of a real natural documentarian perspective to start with, and then throw our ear candy on top, you know, to make it like a legitimate record album, but not go too far, which is another thing. You know, we didn't want to make it overly perfect, because there's too many records like that now, that a lot of them that might actually be really enjoyable in an enduring way, if they didn't know when to leave it alone with that computer, you know.
yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about.
And nothing against computers, but it's, you know, it's just a matter. It's a restraint thing, you know. Any idiot can mash the gas, man. Sometimes you gotta know when to slow down, and you gotta know when to hit the brakes once in a while, you know.
Definitely.
Did I just say mash the gas? Mash the gas and turn left.
That's okay, man. I definitely understand what you mean. Now, that's another question. Something else I wanted to ask you. Like, I mean, looking back throughout the entire history of this band, with all the different lineup changes that you guys have had, and there's been a lot of different types of styles that have been mixed into it, but throughout the entire thing, I've always noticed that, I mean, aside from the first record, I think, there's always been a really consistent, I mean, you can't turn it on without knowing right away that's fucking COC right there. How do you think that, I mean, just this...
Well, you got some idiosyncrasies in the players that express themselves right from the beginning, and then you can pick up on some of those cues, you know, right up to this day. I mean, you know, the way Reed Mullen hits the drums, and Woody's vibrato on a solo, and the way he rakes the guitar a little before one and stuff like that. You know, it's just there's a lot of flavor there with those dudes, you know. So that's pretty consistent. And right back to like way back to Eye for an Eye, which I don't even really care for. There's still some of the same, you know, like it's like hardcore, but with like the same version of a blues run in it, you know, sort of masquerading as hardcore. So there's it's definitely built from the same stuff, you know, just during a different epoch, you know.
Yeah. Well, taking us all the way back to the very beginning, how did this band get started?
Well, you know, I had some friends in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you know, we used to actually, you know, to be honest, they weren't from Charlotte, North Carolina. They were really from like outside Charlotte, like west of town, you know, like unsung places like Mount Holly and places like that you never heard of, and you know, Lincoln County, Cherryville, things like that. Just country-ass places, but there was like an incredible number of people who knew who the Circle Jerks were there in like 1982, you know, 1981. And we'd all go to this hardcore club called the Milestone Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know, it might even still be there. And you know, the Bad Brains would come and play, or Black Flag came a couple times on Damage, and you know, that kind of thing really influenced us. And we met some cool people from Raleigh, and you know, we'd all travel to different shows, you know, around within a couple 100 miles. You know, we were just like super young, and that was the kind of thing we were focused in on. So I don't know, one day we decided we'd go down to Raleigh and try to start a band, and we just we hijacked me and my friend Benji Shelton. We hijacked a band called No Labels that Woody Weatherman was playing bass in, and Reed was playing drums, and we installed me on bass and put Woody on guitar, and you know, sort of encouraged Woody to go with his more you know, Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell type of attack, and mix that with the Bad Brain stuff we were into. And we started us a hardcore band with heavy metal elements, which it wasn't really that cool with everybody, you know. There's a lot of people who were kind of like punk rock orthodox people, especially when we got to playing shows up in D.C. and stuff like that. And if you didn't wear proper Dr. Martin boots and play this type of like strict punk rock, and you mix up hard rock and heavy metal with it, they kind of get on you a little bit, criticize you. And pretty soon people started to talk, and a lot of it was complaining, but it's free publicity. So that kind of gave us a little kick in the ass as far as people talking. And you know, we saw the Bad Brains, we saw Black Flag jumping in a van, playing for just a few people, like 200 nights a year, and we're like, that's what we want to do. We can do that. We can do that. DOA. was a huge influence on us. You know? There's some amazing live band back then. So, that's kind of how it all got rolling. And it was a good time to do that because people wanted to go. There was like a legitimate scene, a word-of-mouth scene, and kids were hungry to hear this new music, hardcore punk. They were super into it, and a lot of them were really into the kind of evolving crossover aspect of it that was starting to crystallize, and we just happened to be doing that. So there you go. The rest is obscure history.
Now, the name itself, Corrosion of Conformity, how did you guys come up with that?
I don't know. That's just Reed Mullen, probably sitting in school with a spiral notebook, and he should have been studying for the test, or he should have been listening, but instead he was doodling on it, trying to think of a name for his new hardcore band, and that's what he wrote. So I said, "Yeah, that sounds like that fits the bill, dude. We got it. That's cool."
Yeah, it's badass, man. I remember being a kid and fucking seeing it in a magazine or some shit and thinking, what the fuck is this, you know?
I mean, the original inception of it, I don't know, because this is, but at the time we agreed to adopt it, it really had to do with like, well, yeah, there's all these bands that are doing political slogans and stuff like that, and maybe we were guilty of that a little bit. Certainly it's an easy way to write a song. But it wasn't so much like, society is, has all this conformity, man, and we're going to chip away at it and change the world. It had more to do with like, here we are kind of participating in this subculture, that's supposed to be about like free thought and non-conformity and stuff, and
yeah,
and here's these people kind of like busting on us for like in a form of music that's they think is criticizing our dress, just kind of judging us on our appearance and superficial things, and everyone's trying to put you in a box. So it's like, yeah, there's conformity there too, That's kind of what we were talking about right from the outset. And today it's still kind of a part of the world of music we live in. I just see people referring to music within these ever narrowing definitions and these tiny subgenres and putting everything into a box. It's just, man, to us, it's really just music,
Well, it definitely stuck out because, I mean, I think the first thing that I noticed to myself was, like, I was just like, Jesus, that's a fucking huge name, man. Like, all the letters in it, that's fucking, because especially back then.
How many stencil letters do you need? How many stencil letters am I going to need to paint this something?
Yeah, because back then, fucking, that's what we did was, like, we'd be sitting in school, fucking just drawing everybody's logos on the notepads and shit, so, we'd definitely study, what the name was made of and everything. Now, also the logo. That's a kick-ass fucking logo, man, with the fucking skull and the spikes and shit. How did you guys come up with that?
I think we were just going, conceptually, I'm pretty sure that's my idea. And I made a couple rough attempts at it. Just, you look at the Motorhead skull and stuff like that, and it's like you really want something like that to kind of carry forward. And I couldn't drop her shit. And we had a friend whose name is Errol Engelbrecht, and he's a pretty seriously, he's a tattoo artist now with a pretty big reputation, and he's been at it a long time. But he was really into horror comics and all this kind of illustration stuff, and so we just mentioned the idea to him, and he just cranked it out perfectly as you see it today, like in no time. And I think we gave him like $50 or something.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely taken on a life of its own, because I've seen that logo everywhere, probably about as much as I've seen the Misfits thing, I think.
Yeah, it's iconic, man. It's iconic. You don't even have to know what the fuck it's about. Right? I think I saw a photograph of the young R&B performer Chris Brown, Rihanna's ex that banged up her eye. I saw a picture of that dude wearing like some kind of like boutique made like leather jacket with all the band names and spikes and patches on it, And on the back there were suicidal tendencies, and then there were corrosion of conformity and the I'm just like, that dude likes. I'm not convinced that he's actually heard the music he's advertising there.
Yeah.
It looked cool.
I think I know what you're talking about. I don't know. I can't.
I'm familiar with that whole idea of, people kind of wearing the cool thing. But back when I was in high school, there was always a guy that would do that for you for like $40. You didn't have to pay $600 for a leather jacket with some stuff on it.
Right.
But I suppose if you got to kind of change and kick around, I guess it's good for the economy. So somebody's economy. It's not good for my economy.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really picture in my mind him driving around fucking jamming to the shit, but who knows?
Never know.
But looking back on your career, I mean, you guys been around for a long time. What would you say? What's your favorite moment from being on the road?
It'd be kind of hard to nail it down, but just pretty much any time we go to a new place, going to Japan for the first time was like a real trip, and going to Czech Republic for the first time, like with Metallica, just short time after like the Berlin Wall came down, and they had this cool kind of underground culture that wasn't any one subculture or anything like that. It was just like kind of like youth experimenting and kind of just doing wild stuff with like kind of a newly unrestricted situation. It was cool, man. There was a lot of cool DIY stuff going on, and going to Chile last year was badass. Playing in Mexico City for the first time, because those are some of our biggest markets, and people are just crazy. I mean, in Mexico City, it's the biggest city in the world. People that are into metal there and stuff, they know their shit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We got a lot of metalhead listeners down there too. I see them all. Moving forward, what are your plans for the future?
Oh, like I said, near future, we're just going to jump on this, going to Australia, playing some shows in New Zealand, coming back, starting a tour of North America out on the West Coast, doing another little run of hopefully the East Coast and the Midwest. Definitely doing some Texas shows, some Canada, and try to see what's going on in Europe by the fall, and then we'll be looking to write some songs. We get real lucky, maybe Pepper Keenan will be on board to make a record. Otherwise, we make another 3-piece record, and basically it's just like write some songs, record them, go on tour, and repeat. It's kind of what we want to do. We really like making records, and so we want to be sure and make sure we keep the heat on like we've been for the last 3 years. We've got three releases in 3 years, and we want to keep that type of level of output up, because we just enjoy doing it.
Yeah. You just mentioned Pepper. What's up with Pepper? What's he doing?
Well, he's in a popular band called Down. I don't know if you've heard. But
yeah.
It's challenging to schedule. Like if we want to make a record, so you got to like write a record, and you got to record a record, and then you got to go on tour, and that's to do it justice. And I think it's possible. We just got to kind of coordinate with I Hate God and Philip and the Illegals and Honky and the other Down spin-off organizations, and just get all our ducks in a row and make sure everybody's happy and everything is strategically planned out, so we're not doing anything stupid. And no, I think it'll happen, man.
Right on, man. Any chance you guys would ever do like a tour together?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think Pepper would be too keen on as much as you know, as much as he doesn't mind being in the spotlight. I don't know if he wants to really do an evening with Pepper Keenan, but yeah, I mean, I think that they don't really need to pay us what what we want to have that amount of people. You know, there's going to be some bean counters involved telling them that's a bad idea. But we've done some shows recently that were against all of that kind of advice that were just epic, man. We played the show with I Hate God and High on Fire, and it's just like, man, we need to bring back these epic kind of bills, and not, you know, because it's tough out there. It's tough out there to make money and stuff like that. So you don't see the kind of bills like you used to, where it's just like 2 or 3 awesome bands that you've heard of and you know you're all about. You know, it's kind of like one awesome band that you've heard of and you know you're all about, and one that you maybe are into, and one that you heard was good, and one that you never heard of or something. So we're just, you know, starting with this thing out west, we're just really trying to say, okay, every gig that we do, we want to try to make sure it's an awesome bill from top to bottom, and kind of make a cultural statement by having, you know, playing with awesome bands.
It definitely seems like it's a lot harder here in the States for bands to get that to do that, as opposed to like in Europe, you know.
Yeah. Hard, you know. Yeah, well, they got more of the. Even there, it's kind of like a fest. It's kind of a festival situation where you'll have that, maybe not outdoor festival in the traditional sense, but like a kind of sort of thing, like a road burn sort of scenario. But
yeah.
I guess I should probably see what this other dude is. You got anything else? This guy's.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, I was just about out of questions for you, Mike.
Cool, man. Well, thanks so much. I'm gonna try to catch up with this guy before he gets.
Before I let you go, can I get you to make a station tag for me real quick?
Yeah. What is it?
Just say, this is Mike Dean from COC, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Hello, this is Mike Dean from Corrosion of Conformity, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
All right, dude. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for taking the time, and
you're very welcome. Back at you, man.
Hopefully we'll see you around sometime, all right?
Absolutely. All right.